The void stares back. The credits are rolling, the mics are recording. Gaze into the void with your hosts, Josh and Joey, as they discuss thoughts and questions surrounding visual, written, and interactive media steeped in cosmic horror.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Void Stares Back.
It's us. Your friendly neighborhood curators of the dark times.
The dark times. We're curating all of it right now?
Well, you know, every story has a beginning.
Sure.
If we don't start doing it, then who will?
I'm Josh.
I'm Joey.
Let's see. Let's do the formality stuff first. Today is January the 23rd? 22nd. 22nd in the year of our dark cosmic deities, 2020.
We can finally see.
Yes.
Perfect vision. All these eyes we've added to our brain.
The syzygy is aligned to only two different numbers in the
I
year.
vibrate with the frequency of the universe.
Meow. What's that? Oh, was that a meow? Was that a really lame segue? It sure was.
Wow, was that a moment where Joey could have put in the edit an actual cat sound but didn't because it's funnier? Weird.
You may be asking, why are they being so dumb? Well,
you probably aren't because you saw the title of this episode.
Oh, no. We just finished reading the H.P. Lovecraft short story, The Cats of Ulthar.
The really short story.
Very.
Micro literature.
2.5 pages for us. Yeah.
Which is a relative amount of pages, depending on your font size.
Yes.
Before we get into our discussion on the Cats of Ulthar, a couple more things to do for upkeep. If you're listening to this in a different place, in the usual places, I should say, you can gain access to a reading of this story by us if you aren't interested in reading it by hitting us up on our Patreon for any amount of money that you think we're worth / can spare.
Yes.
Obviously, you know, this is available for free in its natural state for you to absorb our take on this story naturally.
Yeah.
So any support is welcome, monetary or otherwise. But we're going to be recording an audiobook of us reading through this story, and we're going to stitch it to this episode conversation that we're going to have. Which
you may have just listened to if you already support us. So
correct, yeah. So thank you, if that's the case. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed our reading. But yeah, that's just the way for us to say thanks for any monetary support anybody is capable of sparing to help us build this whole thing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I think that's everything.
I think so.
At the top anyways.
Any other links that you are curious about and what we do or how to follow us on social media and all of that are going to be below in the show notes. So.
Yeah, and speaking of which, we're going to add another link to our giant menagerie of links that I'm sure is just going to continue to grow forever to the actual story. So if you're interested in reading this story, it is public domain and we will send you to it. Yep. If you hadn't planned on reading it before realizing what episode this was. So.
Right. Yep. And again, it's only 2.5 pages, so a very quick read. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah.
What do you this is our first reading? My first reading. I don't read things.
This will be our first released reading.
Well, yes, but of this story for you. Had you read this prior?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. No, I had not. Sorry. Yes, this is my first reading.
No, I had not read it prior.
Yeah.
Great. Those two check out.
Yeah.
Me either. I've only read one story by Lovecraft prior to anything we're going to do. So.
Yeah, this is not one of the ones that I had read when I picked up the compendium that I own many, many years ago.
Many moons ago.
I've read mostly only his meteor works.
Meteor, yeah.
I mean, and again, they're certainly not meaty by comparison to any sort of novels that are released.
Sure. I like the double entendre of your use of word of meteor.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a foreshadowing to our some of our future episodes.
Yeah. But no, I've only read like the ones that everybody knows. Color Out of Space, Mounds of Madness, Dunwich Horror, Shadowrun Smith, all the Call of Cthulhu, all the main ones that people, even if they've never read Lovecraft, have heard the titles of at some point in their life.
And I'm sure some of those you haven't read recently.
None of them have I read recently.
So they'll still be.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to be fresh. And if it's not the first time, it's going to feel close to it.
Yeah,
for me. So
sweet. Yeah, I can't read, so that's why I haven't read any of this up to now, and I've owned the work for a while as well. So.
Yeah,
and it's been public domain my entire life. So,
yep.
So there's no excuses, Joey, except for your own brain defects.
Yeah, man, get a hold on that.
You should just get over your dyslexia, Joey. Yeah. What's the big deal?
Yeah, jeez, it's got to be easy, right?
You could literally just tell your brain to stop. It's your fault that you aren't. Sweet. Okay, so what'd you think?
Oh, I liked it. It's definitely when people think of Lovecraft, the layman in terms of Lovecraftian stuff.
That's me.
The average person, either the walker on the street thinks, oh, he was a racist and he likes tentacles.
I feel like the walker on the street goes, who?
Yeah, well, yeah. His name is certainly becoming more popular lately, but
sure, in some circles.
Yeah, but
we live in a very biased bubble of that, where like the things that we take part in, and like put on our social media feeds to see, and like
I suppose that's true.
Sort of kind of put us in that part of the Venn diagram of people who have heard of Lovecraft.
That's true.
And let alone know that he was racist. I think I feel like people who know he's racist find that out after they know what he's done literarily.
Probably
at this point. So anybody who probably knows him is like, oh yeah, he did the Cthulhu stuff, right? And it's like, just be careful. He's not such a great person as a person. And, and you go, oh, maybe I won't read that or whatever, whatever the reaction is. But so I'm not sure.
In terms of what I think the average person who knows of Lovecraft's work, then, but maybe hasn't read a lot of it,
the expectation that this sort of delivers with that.
This is very different than what you might think of.
Sure.
That's where I was getting at with this.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, fish people, or oh, tentacle monsters, or oh, big weird space stuff, and like that is a lot of his themes, but this is
like the first chapter of a story like that.
Exactly. Yeah. This it's different, but it's there. That stuff is you could pick that out if you wanted to, and
waiting.
Your imagination starts to run.
Well, that's why it's quite good, I think.
I think so too. Yeah, this leaves quite a bit open.
This is a work of Miyazaki, like in game design. For those who are unaware, that's the creative lead and designer for games like Dark Souls 1 and 3 and Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And other notable works in the past, like Armored Core and stuff he's worked on. And From Software developing team and all that fun stuff. But he this definitely felt like a description of a singular item in one of those games.
Absolutely.
And you're like, what is this sweet cat scepter I found?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What could it do? What does it do?
Yeah. Like especially that last small paragraph, that feels like it's the
one sentence.
Yeah, feels like a perfect item description piece.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Those final words, like "no man may kill a cat."
Yeah,
like that. Just it evokes so much.
Yeah, it makes you want to know more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. It's very cool. It's basically like and by the time that this episode comes out, in our catalog of podcast episodes. I did not mean to do that. I was just saying the word catalog. All right, guys, podcast canceled. I quit.
I'm sorry. Take it all back.
In this feline-a-log of episodes that we've released of cat-based podcasting, I always talk about what I want out of a movie, because before now we've only really watched movies and shows and stuff.
Yeah.
So visual media and what I want out of it, or what are the commonalities in the ones I really love, is that what we just talked about, unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And just more like small moments of detail that just raise more questions. And like, yeah. And then the reason I like that is because of the lets your imagination run wild comment that you made, where it's just, I just enjoy that because, you know, that's like a super personal thing. Like for the layman, as you said, you know, if this is their first Lovecraft story, their life, like the path that they've gone through life directly informs the gaps that they'll be filling.
Yes.
Right. And so it's a very personalized experience with that kind of a story, which is why I think that they just resonate with a lot of people for a good reason. When they're well crafted and they do that thing, everybody gets to seed those gaps with their life experience and have a unique experience of that content.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. That actually reminds me, as a little aside, but somewhat related,
welcome to the show. The podcast is called Little Aside.
Little Asides.
Where we talk about a bunch of asides, and they're not little.
Yeah, right. Just this morning, actually, you know, you wake up and for a lot of people, the first thing they do is scroll through their phone, just kind of like absorb some amount of internet, whatever, before they rise for the day. And there was a small... I guess you could call it a meme, but it wasn't super funny, like you typically think of memes, but a little snippet that somebody had dropped, and it was in my feed, and it just said, have you ever thought about how surreal reading a book actually is? You stare at marked slices of tree and then hallucinate vividly.
Yeah, that's like some like Justin Bieber tweet shit where it's just like somebody's high and they're like, man, books are crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So's everything. Yeah, everything is equally that crazy.
Yeah. It just, this conversation reminded me that I had read that this morning, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah, man. Art's art. That's the whole concept, though. I think people like who make comments like that, at some level, are missing the point, right? Like it's like, oh, isn't it crazy that we can be taken to like metaphysical planes due to like the stuff that we read? And it's like, well, yeah, sure, you could look at it, you know, from that perspective, and then start writing what your meme or your comment is going to be from saying like, I'm important. Let's start with me and work our way back to art. Yeah. But art was where it started. And the concept that the artist creating art, like the concept of art in general, is that it's transcendent. It's, you know, it transcends the language that it's written in. It's or the medium that it's created on or whatever, you know, and that whole argument. Language is a bit of a different subject, I guess, because if you don't have access to it, then you don't have access to the art, you know? And so, or it becomes diluted in translation or whatever. But yeah, that's it. That's my
that
take on that.
Relates back to that small snippet there at the end about language. Actually relates back to us talking about Miyazaki and the way he writes stories is very much derivative of his childhood experience, not knowing English very well, and so whenever anybody would tell him anything in English, he had to fill in the gaps. Obviously,
it was broken,
and thus he writes broken stories for you to fill in the gaps with your own imagination to make up whatever it is that you want. It heavily informed the way he decided he wanted to write stories.
And on top of that, like as a double layer to that problem that you have with interacting with the story, the universe rather that he's creating. He's Japanese, right? Which the barrier between that language and English is also one of incongruent translation. Yes, naturally, there's tons of stuff that they have that translates over, but so much of how they speak is implication, and we don't allow for that in word-to-word translation. Yeah, right. So it's hard to get across the idea that they have a word that means king, but they have another word that means a specific kind of king. Yeah. But based on the context, you know, it can mean so many different things or something like that. And so when you translate over in the text of a video game or the dialogue, you lose some of the nuance that was implied by the original Japanese. Yes. And whether that's relevant to the story that was... So the fact is that he creates a game in Japanese. Yeah. It gets translated to English. which is a wider audience absorbing it than the Japanese. But
yeah,
they're different stories that are inherently, to begin with, even within the root language, incongruent and full of gaps. And so it's like, what's true? Which one is the right one? And it's like, and Miyazaki goes,
yeah, he's like, I'm glad that people are enjoying my games.
Yeah, he's like,
and then like steps back from the microphone like that. That's it. And that's just that's just a very Miyazaki thing to do.
Yeah, very much dodging the question at all times, unless he feels like he needs to drop a hint of something into the pond to rattle, to rattle the fan base a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting conversation, and I'll talk forever about language and what it means to people in the world and stuff, because it's my jam. That's my jam.
Well, what about cat language?
Cat language, I haven't really studied it. I know a couple words. Just the swear words. Everybody learns the swear words with a new language first, so that's why cats don't like me. Just kidding. They do like me. I don't like them.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which is why I needed to learn the swears. You needy bastard, fuck off.
Meow, 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 meow.
No, yeah. So, I don't know where you want to start. Do you want to start with like setting? Because that's
sure. Yeah.
It's. I don't know if it's fiction or not.
I don't either.
Because it isn't in his usual realm of the world.
No, normally,
nor it doesn't appear to be the normal time that he tells his stories either.
Right. A lot of his stuff is quote unquote present day, but for him, which was 1920s and 30s, classic era, and a lot of his major stories take place on
New England
coast, you know, and this is in a land named Ulthar.
Possibly fake.
I
mean, he's made fake places in New England, so who the heck knows?
So we don't know if this is based.
And disclaimer, we didn't look.
Yeah, no, we didn't look.
This isn't us saying that it's for sure possibly fake, possibly real.
Yeah.
We just don't know. So we're just letting you know that we're completely ignorant about whether this is specifically based in a region at a time.
Right. This is a reaction channel, not a research channel.
Someday maybe we'll do research episodes about stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But
a little bit of a different version, different take on it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly all the names felt right.
Sure.
For this place that may or may not exist, the
they're
name
all
Ulthar,
vaguely foreign and biblical and like cradle of the earth sort of.
Yes. Yeah.
Somewhere in the Middle East or they talk about Egyptian references and stuff, and
yes, there's mention of the Sphinx, and like this caravan that shows up. They have markings on their wagon,
reminiscent of Egyptian gods.
Yeah, Egyptian artwork and hieroglyphics and things.
And and the people in the wagon are actually wearing headdresses and various garments that were sort of reminiscent of that.
2 horns and a disc and stuff, which is very super evocative of Egypt or Egyptian culture.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's very specific to Ra, right?
I think
the horns
so.
and the disc. I know the disc is something that you see Ra wear.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't remember if it had horns.
I don't
also.
either. And that's again maybe
some like weird sub Ra cult caravan like.
Excuse me, getting over a cold.
Yeah, I'll maybe try and edit around that.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's curious.
Yeah, I don't know enough.
Definitely at least evocative of it, right? Like
yes.
If it is fiction,
very much
that's...
so. Me being the super nerd that I am, the thing that flashed in my brain actually was the horns of Nicol from Magic the Gathering.
And he's very much based on...
Yes, and he's very, very much evocative of Egyptian gods. So just a dragon rather than an animal of earth, which is a lot of times what Egyptian gods were based on. But
right. Well, he was like, the implication of Nicol Bolas in Magic the Gathering, the card game.
Yeah.
His implication isn't that he's a god of the Egyptian people. It's that he created the gods of the people.
Yeah, exactly.
And those gods that he created are pretty much one-to-one.
Yes.
Like what we vaguely understood the gods to be depicted as.
Yeah.
And so he's like the planeswalker in the context of Magic. We're not going to explain Magic the Gathering.
No.
If you're interested in knowing these terms, just find the Wikipedia. It'll probably tell you all the terms that we said.
Yep.
It's a big well to fall into, and I don't recommend it personally, but you're welcome to do it if
the universe
if it
is
takes
super
your
cool.
yeah, for sure.
If you're into that,
if you just
they
stop
have all
there,
the stories and stuff,
tons
online.
of books available. It's very cool.
But the game itself can be definitely a big pit. But
if you're gonna get any books from Magic the Gathering, I recommend the Mirrodin block. Those books are so cool.
Sure.
I don't know if you ever read those.
I didn't.
They're pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the coolest planes.
I was gonna say I like a lot of the story there. The Phyrexians being one of my favorite.
It was curious, and I didn't really realize it, but
mythical antagonists. But
yeah, I didn't really realize it at the time. But when that set came out, I was still well into the game, which slowly diminished over time. But I didn't realize it. But that book series actually, I think, in some non-small part, is a part of what sort of helped establish my I don't know, everything's politics depending on the form through which you're speaking, but political stance on feminism and how I feel about women, because it had, I've always been interested in Miyazaki's work as a child, and he exclusively tells stories from the perspective of female protagonists.
Yes.
And at the time when I was absorbing it, it was a thing that I didn't question. It wasn't like, oh, this is cool. It's a woman in, it was just some large percentage of the media I was absorbing, period.
Yeah.
And, as a even smaller child, I watched Powerpuff Girls, and that's just like three powerful young girls, and so like women in leading roles wasn't strange to me. And in Mirrodin, the Mirrodin block for Magic, that's the only series of books I read.
Okay.
But I actually had to do it for school purposes. They like had you pick a book of a certain reading level, and I was like, big Magic nerd, and I was like, does this count? And they're like, sure. It's kind of insane that you want to do this. I'm like, it's an excuse for me to actually be able to force my way through a book.
Sure.
So I didn't read it exclusively because of enjoyment, because my dyslexia sort of prevents that, and it wasn't an easy read for me. That trilogy, but long story short, it has a female protagonist. I forget the card, but it's a bad card in the game of Magic, but she's the green card that, like, she's a legend that taps to destroy artifacts or something like that.
Glissa?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Glissa is...
Yeah.
She finds the culture pieces basically throughout the story, and she starts with the sword really early,
sure,
but doesn't know that it's the culture pieces. And like there's a bunch of stuff, but the story basically centers around her struggles. And
that's cool.
And she's like a badass.
Yeah.
And so it was cool. But yeah, it's like all these little pieces in my life that sort of came together to make me a pre-feminist feminist.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize it, and so I guess people at the time would have called that a humanist, right? Like, just the people are equal, despite the extraneous labels or whatever. But yeah, I never really thought about it till just now, so I just kind of want to run my brain through that whole thought process.
That's really cool.
So if you like ladies made of metal,
heck yeah,
and flesh, she's one, and she Anyways.
Or on the Lovecraftian end of things, if you like weird religions around flesh and metal and being one,
which is still sort of tied together at some point in that story,
right? And those are the Phyrexians, and they're a huge part of that block. So yeah, go seek out that. Maybe we'll cover some weird extraneous material from Magic.
It'd be fun
because there are whole blocks about eldritch horror stuff.
Maybe we'll play it on the Let's Play channel. We'll just do a little like 1v1.
That'd be cool.
We'll buy some packs and do some drafts.
All right.
That'd be kind of cute.
Yeah.
Who
knows?
That just a quick little rundown on memory lane of Magic stuff. And
welcome back
what
to
it means
the Asides podcast.
Little asides.
Little asides. So let's have a little aside back about Ulthar.
Besides little asides, let's talk about cats for fuck's sake.
Yeah. So, there's this town,
Ulthar. That's where
this
stuff
is
taking place.
No man can kill a cat.
Yeah, that's the opening line.
Yep.
Of the story. That there's a law in this place.
Yeah,
it's like actual law. Mm-hmm. You can't kill a cat. And then it describes basically a series of days, presumably very close to each other, explaining why that law basically exists.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
trying to
explain why it exists.
Yeah. I think one of the questions I have, and maybe you picked up on it better during the story, is some of the early talk of the cat's behavior. And like who was upset that cats existed in this town outside of the specific family. They described them kind of, it sounded like to me that they were like more of a nuisance than cats usually are or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you get that impression?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that there's the almost like there was a subsect of cats near this area that were doing things that were outside the norm of cat behavior for Ulthar.
And most people were like dealing with it / fine with it.
Yeah.
And there was one couple.
Yes.
One family.
Yeah, the Cotter and his wife.
Yeah. Which is a profession I'm unfamiliar with.
I was assumably
creating cots, perhaps. A bed maker. I don't know. That job runs out when...
who works with cotton a lot.
Maybe. I mean, I think that predates cotton production.
I think so too.
If we're correct about time frames. But
yeah,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. It was a word that was unfamiliar to me as well. So.
I mean, it's the kind of word that like existed when the idea of cobbling existed, and like that's sort of an archaic term, even though people who maybe modify shoes to this day would still
be
interested in being called cobblers.
Yeah.
You're not really doing the act of cobbling anymore. No. You're not carving shoes out of wood.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's curious. But obviously words change definition all the time. But what were we saying? Oh, the Cotters are the family who
the man and wife
have been like lured, and they're described as like peculiar. They were
an odd couple.
They were like loners and didn't you know, and after the events of this, nobody wanted to approach them about
what had happened,
what had been happening.
Yeah,
but they were luring the cats of the town in various ways to traps and stuff.
Their garden, their yard, and
trapping them
and
to kill them.
Yes, because any cat, it was said that any cat that visited their home was never seen again. So it was assumed that they were being murdered.
Yeah, or maybe that's like a tie-in to some ritualistic shit that they were doing.
Yes,
that caused the events to precede or that followed.
Right. Yeah.
There's no real confirmation on that throughout the story. We even get a small description of what was in this house.
Yeah.
So, and there was no point to say that it was like stranger than any other house.
No. Yeah.
So I don't know that they were like. I think they were just sociopaths that wanted to feel something. So they killed cats or something. Or perhaps they just needed to eat. And like that was how they did that.
That could be, yeah.
And they just happened to be strange. You know, I don't know.
Decided they wanted to rid themselves of weird cats and feed themselves.
Yeah, they perhaps hated cats simultaneously.
Yep.
They were dog people.
Oh God. But there's no dogs in this story anywhere, so that we know of.
Yeah, that wasn't even on the list of the wagon markings, was it?
No, it wasn't.
That's curious.
Yes, I don't know if this is a place where just dogs don't exist as an animal.
Well, I mean, Anubis,
right,
isn't present, right? That's basically what I'm saying. That he's dog boy number one,
right,
in Egyptian
nowhere to be found
imagery,
here.
and he wasn't on the symbols painted on the wagon of the visitors.
Right. Yeah, they said rams, birds.
Yeah, there was the ram, the bird, the oh God,
was it the ox?
I think we can just look.
We can easily visit this.
I have this page here because this is a shorter story, so it's a little bit easier. They had the heads of cats, hawks, rams, and lions.
Ah, yes.
So it's a little bit varied in 1-to-1 Egyptian.
I mean, the hawk for sure.
The hawk is probably Horus.
I was going to say it's very close to Horus, right? He was either a hawk or a falcon. I can't remember which. And
I believe he's a falcon.
Yeah, So,
because those are like one of the smartest birds.
Yes. Yeah.
Often used for training purposes. Cats were not often, because these are we're talking about the things that were painted on the wagon.
Yeah.
And they were the gods. We keep saying that, but the way that they're described is that they had human bodies and heads of animals, and then this was the list of those animals.
Right.
So that's like, the common hieroglyphic interpretation of, and in just statues and
right, yeah,
other works of art from ancient Egypt. But cats were not present as a god.
No, cats were guardians of the underworld in ancient
Yeah, they were
Egyptian
just
culture.
cats.
Yeah,
that were, and it just implied that cats were special.
Yes,
so I don't.
Yeah, so this is the cats were even more revered.
And I've seen
in
other
some fashion,
other art iterate on that with like minotaurs, but cats.
Right. Yes.
Or like it's a cheetah or something like that.
Yeah.
Cheetah head with a human body, but I don't know that lives in pure, known, written.
Yeah, I'm
specific,
not sure.
Real life, especially lions. Like,
yeah,
especially if they delineate that even then further from Sphinx and like other things that definitely are stuff we know about that. So if you know stuff about ancient Egypt that we don't, elucidate us. Yeah, I'd love to know more about that. I only kind of know the big names and some of the major points. I will be delving pretty deep into it because I have a game design idea that I've spoken to you about,
right,
and showed you that cares basically about that lore.
Yeah.
So someday I'll know a lot, but right now I do not. So
well, and we'll maybe even learn a little bit more depending on how historically accurate some of Lovecraft's work is, because he visits the Egyptian theme a number of times throughout different stories.
Yeah.
So
cool.
This one, I don't know. I just don't know.
This is also one of his earlier works as well, right?
Yeah, 1920. So one of his earliest ones. But I don't know if Ulthar comes back up as a place, but I know that in some way the cats of Ulthar are connected, if memory serves, to Bastet, which is one of some kind of fictional Egyptian god or goddess in Lovecraft's mythos. So
sure.
So we may get to see more of this stuff coming forward, but
cool. That reminds, I don't know if it's, because this is me speaking once again from shallow knowledge about the Egyptian gods and their specific religious culture, but that reminds me of the actual god that they have, whose name starts with a B as well.
Bastet might actually be...
That's the crocodile.
Is it?
I think so. I think there's a crocodile god that has I think it's a B name. I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I could look it up, I suppose, because I'm kind of interested to know. I know that one of them does have a name sort of close to that, so it might actually just be one of the gods.
I can't remember. My knowledge is so limited.
I forgot to mute my phone, so I'm gonna look that up whilst I mute my phone.
Nice.
Hell yeah, dude! We're such good podcasters.
I just know that little bit from Sandy Peterson of Peterson Games, and also the creator of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, for his big, giant, grandiose miniatures game, Cthulhu Wars. As an April Fool's joke, this last year in 2019, he did a faction on Kickstarter that was the cats. And the Cats of Ulthar were part of that faction that you could play, and Bastet was one of the main elder ones that you could play with. So
nice.
Now again, I don't know if Bastet is based in reality or if it's a Lovecraftian only creation. I'm not sure.
What is it? That's specifically the cat one, the
Bastet, yeah, Bastet.
So, I was vaguely right.
Okay.
I was wrong about the crocodile. The crocodile is actually Sobek.
Okay.
I just forgot that's his name.
Yeah.
But Bast is it's like listed as Egyptian gods.
Yeah.
But it is the term for cats.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I'm not going to read this whole thing exactly, but I think it's probably like Bast is like a specific cat.
Sure.
That is ruler of cats or something like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna get into this.
Cool.
But there you go.
The more you know.
But hopefully you take that cue as a way to get more knowledge, because we did not really deliver you anything just now. So all that said,
Feed your brain.
We got some nice Egyptian imagery.
Yeah.
Presuming that we're somewhere around there.
Right.
For the story's setting.
Yes. Yeah.
And that these are probably like the equivalent of...
Actually, we do know we are. He mentions Africa.
Does he?
Yes.
I totally missed that. It would have been right at the top then, right?
Yeah. Let me go back through here. I remember now.
Yeah, right. Here's the sentence.
Yeah.
He is the kin of the jungle's lords and heir to the secrets of Ori and sinister Africa.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're probably in like, northern Egypt somewhere.
Yes.
Not in any major town like a lot of his stories are set like
near Boston,
the outskirts of some town that he's either made up or is real.
Yeah, backwoods New England.
Yeah, and this is probably the equivalent of that for
the Middle East or somewhere over
some
there.
Egyptian place.
Mm-hmm.
So curious. Okay, great.
We found ourselves.
Awesome. We vaguely know that we're in the continent of Africa.
Yes.
Which is a pretty small place. We've narrowed it down to 1/7 of the landmass.
Yep.
Habitable landmass of the planet.
Anyways, so there's this couple. They murder cats.
Yeah, that's
so the people believe.
And this town appears to be full of a lot of cats.
Lots of cats.
Yeah, it's cat central.
Yeah.
Because cats are important to people.
And then this caravan comes through.
Yeah, and
some
like
imagery.
The village people sort of become aware, but just sort of deal with the fact that they're killing the cats. Because there's no direct confirmation that they're killing cats. They just know that whenever the cats visit there, they do not come back.
Correct.
And then that's enough for them to be like,
maybe.
But
nobody wants to approach this couple about their activity.
Yeah, they're afraid to deal with the repercussions of approaching them.
Yeah, the guy that does eventually go there, it says he does it out of a sense of duty.
And it's too late.
Yeah, and it's much too late.
Yeah.
We discover.
But the caravan comes through. Carry on. Sorry.
Oh, no, and they're obviously covered in some kind of imagery and wearing garb from not Ulthar. And seems odd and new to these people. But they have a leader, Menes or Means.
Was that the leader? I thought it was just a random orphan boy. It's like a small child.
Is it? Did I just totally
I thought it was. He said he was a boy, right? With no father and no mother.
Oh. What am I?
But it might have been the leader, because that's not uncommon in Egyptian culture, right? Like the heir to the throne sort of situation.
Yep, little boy, no father, no mother, only a tiny black kitten to cherish. Okay, just glossed over that line.
I mean, it could be some political importance.
I was going to say, I placed a lot of importance on him as a figurehead of this caravan for some reason. But maybe that's just because it's the one that we're given to care about as the reader.
It's cool that you did that. And that. Yeah. I assumed that he was like a pharaoh.
Yeah, I just revered him higher than the rest. So.
Yeah. And maybe that's not wrong to, bridge that gap as like some of the acts this small boy performs very shortly thereafter.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe that's
are something of a magical portent.
Right. Yeah.
Of some kind. So curious. But yeah, so just a boy as a part of these travelers.
Yeah, these foreigners.
Comes through town.
He has a kitten. That's his only thing that he can care about in the world.
Yeah, and the fact that they specifically list that he's an orphan, like he has no mother, has no father, but loves the kitten as a result of having sort of nobody else. And so they stay in the town, assumably for a night.
Yep.
Of respite.
Yes.
Respite, however you prefer. And then his friendly cat goes missing.
Yes.
And wouldn't you know it, it's our friendly neighborhood cat killers that presumably did the deed.
Yeah.
And this boy, Menes, as you say, starts performing some kind of prayer incantation to the sky in a language that the people of Ulthar do not recognize.
Yeah, it goes from what's a start of a ritual into meditation, which becomes prayer. And then
So it's like a whole process.
Yeah, and then the sky starts changing above them. The clouds take shape into like forms that people can recognize and
visibly different.
Yeah.
And noticeable to them. Just in the one spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then everyone's like, that was weird. And then the day carries on, and they leave town.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else is like sort of no big fusses other than that is made about
the
missing
kitten or anything.
Or whatever.
Except that now all the other cats are gone.
Yeah, so they go to sleep or whatever, the people of the town, and they wake up to a day with no cats, which is
very odd for this
antithesis
place.
Of Ulthar's, usual.
Mm-hmm. And then that night, there's no lights on at the cabin of the odd couple that is presumably murdering cats.
Yeah, and everybody assumes one of those two possibilities. They talk about a lot of people. They're like, everybody's questioning why there's no cats.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
there's some
one
speculation.
Of the speculation is that the Cotters are behind it.
Yep.
One of them is that the Wanderers took all the cats.
Took every cat. Yep.
Just stole all the cats somehow.
Yeah, as revenge for the one kitten going missing.
Yeah. And then, so it's just people who are speculating on what that situation is. And then in that morning, there's a tall, I think his name was, a boy of some other profession.
The son of something. I don't remember.
It's not super relevant to his importance in the story, but
no,
he basically
the innkeeper's son.
Innkeeper. Oh no!
Oh, goodness.
You're Jerry Rig.
It's okay. Hold on to it.
You can fix it real quick.
Nah.
Okay. So a tall. I elect to live in fear of it falling.
Excuse me. Sorry.
So a tall, the innkeeper's boy.
Yeah.
He makes the claim that in the night he saw the cats.
Yes.
And he's the only witness
that
claims to have seen cats since they went missing the day before. And he said that they were themselves in a field somewhere. I don't remember exactly the setting that he said he saw them.
Yeah, no.
I didn't associate the setting to another family. Like it was. I didn't
think it was near the odd couple's place.
Right.
It was somewhere else near town.
It might have been, but I think there was a tree.
Oh no,
that was called out.
If the tree's there, that is their residence. The odd couple, they are in a home underneath a tree.
Okay.
Surrounded by gardens and such.
Sure. So, I think it might have been in their garden.
Okay.
That he saw them.
That makes sense.
But so basically, he witnesses them under moonlight or something. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
And they're performing some weird ritual of all the cats are walking in a circle.
They're circling the tree, two by two.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I thought he said he called out that there were two specific cats not doing that, and that they were like, dancing or something, and like moving in a very specific way. Reading's hard, guys. We're sorry. Luckily, the story is very short, and we can skim through it. Where you at, Atal?
Yeah, he had seen at twilight, seen all the cats of Ulthar in that accursed yard under the trees, pacing very slowly and solemnly in a circle around the cottage, two abreast, as if in performance of some unheard of rite of beasts.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, so they were walking in 2 by 2 in a big old circle.
I sort of put emphasis on the word two, as if it was two of them were abreast.
Right.
Like stood on hind legs is kind of how I pictured that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, the whole group of cats from town is just walking in a circle around this tree.
2 by 2.
2 by 2.
Very unnatural
sight.
And a little child, is the only witness to this occurrence. So no one believes him because he's just a boy.
Right. And then just lots of town talk and gossip ensue for a while. And finally...
Mostly about solving the mystery of the cats and, needing to get to the bottom of it.
Because after Atal sees them, they do come back. The cats are now there again.
Yeah.
But they won't eat food.
Yeah, they've...
For 2 days, they don't eat any food.
2 days pass and they're not eating food or drinking anything.
Yeah.
They're just chilling in the sun.
Yep. Yeah, they only
sleeping
will be in
and-
the sun or near fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleeping in the warmth of the sun god Ra. And so somebody, I forget who.
It's the coroner.
Blacksmith guy? Or no, a coroner.
Yeah. I had that marked here.
They gain the courage to approach the building and yell.
Yeah, Zath or Zatali, depending on your printing.
I have a misprint in my book that has that character is a different name.
Yeah, the coroner, and then Nith, the notary, Cranon and Shang, and Thul, and then even little Atal all go to the house.
Oh, they all go.
They all went. Yep.
Yeah, and then one of them calls out. No
because
response.
Zath doesn't want to go alone. He says, "Yeah, I have to go because of duty, but I'm not going by myself."
Coward.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes there to call out. No response.
Yep.
Goes inside, only to find the bones of two people.
Yep. Picked clean. Yep.
And then just scares beetles.
Yeah.
Which
in the
sort of
corners
maybe
of the room.
which just sort of places the setting a bit more. Beetles is not uncommon in that
right. Yeah.
part of the world to have as critters that get it all up in your shit.
Yeah. Picking your bones clean.
Not so much that, but yeah.
Well, have you seen The Mummy? I watched The Mummy.
Yeah, I've seen it. And that's
it.
We know a lot about cats and how they
Yep.
eat their dead owners after
Yep.
nobody finds them for a long time. The crazy cat ladies eventually get eaten by them.
Yep.
That whole thing. So we're presumed that they were, because they also additionally they come back being described as fat and like
Yes.
plump or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and they're like lethargic and lazy.
yeah.
So
They ate up a good meal.
yeah, they did.
Our little menace ritual marked them for death, and all the cats circled their place,
Feline vengeance.
feasting,
Yeah.
gaining power from the moon.
Yep. And then we end on it can
A
still
reiteration,
Be,
yeah.
Yep, it can still be said that no man can kill a cat.
Yeah, they after realizing the A plus B equals C,
Yeah.
and the cats, performed retribution on them for having lost some important cat to some wrong person, wrong place situation. Mm-hmm. They're like, maybe we don't harm cats.
Yeah,
ever
we
again.
leave them alone.
Yeah, they're dangerous for reasons unknown. So yeah, that's basically the run through of the whole story. As a Cliff Notes, it's pretty sweet.
Oh, it's very cool.
So like we said, it's 2.5 pages, and there's a singular paragraph of eldritch stuff happening.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Just
it.
that one ritual.
And what it implies about the preceding, following events or whatever, preceding and following events.
Yep.
It's curious. It's very cool though.
Well, and how this group of travelers, or what they're connected to, and how in tune with the cosmos they are, obviously. And
yeah, definitely subject to something. I mean,
yeah,
it could be argued that they aren't, cultic in any way or extremists, and that this just implies a world where the gods were listening to the prayer,
right?
And we're like,
yep,
yeah, we've been, putting that on the back burner, dealing with the Cotter family because cats are important to us, but we got a lot of bigger fish to fry.
Yeah,
but we've heard your prayer, little menace. You're now a lonely orphan with no cat and no family.
Yeah,
We'll
make this right.
We will equivalent exchange that loss you've suffered
Bring
for
some
2 human
balance
lives.
to the feline force, if you will.
I mean, it's a curious conversation if the Cotter family was eating the cats as well. Like if that's like a source of food, it's like a weird cycle of life that Menace's cat was then put into cat kind.
Yes.
By having them feast on the Cotter.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Curious. Because I assume that they are eating them based on there's no description of, like, they just physically vanish. Like, they're not.
Yes.
And the Cotters aren't like burying. There's no mounds. I mean, maybe there is, and they're using like bones as fertilizer for their sweet garden.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's never really described as such one way or the other.
Right. So I assume that they're just.
Yeah.
Being used, right? Like, as you would in perhaps those times.
Exactly.
Wasting things is.
Yeah.
kind of not an option.
I was gonna say, yeah, definitely frowned upon at the very least.
Struggling for food in general. Mm-hmm. You'd have to be living a very lavish life.
Yeah.
Which the Cutters don't sound like they were.
Nope. Bunch of cat haters.
Yep. So basically the story has given me a small look into my future as a cat hater, and I'll just tread carefully now.
Yeah, man. Don't get caught. No.
Don't get caught. I mean, I think the moral isn't don't get caught. It's probably find other ways to solve the problem. Maybe build like a cat fence.
I missed it then. The story was lost on me.
Don't get caught. Or else Menace is going to get you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of curious as the implications of Menace, just as a powerful...
Right? I think that's why I had him in my head is the way I did, because... I mean, he is described as an orphan, but like immediately following, like the only thing we get about him is he's able to conjure up some form of, vengeance, through this ritual and stuff. And so, yeah, I just kind of like placed him on a pedestal in my brain, I think. That's why
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's curious. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't directly imply anything specifically. So it's...
No, yeah.
Reader's discretion, I think.
Yep.
I will say that, and obviously I read this differently from perhaps its intention, just because I don't read and I don't know how to do that. But it felt like there was importance placed on the phrase Menace's prayer as like the act that was performed.
Yeah.
It felt like it was, obviously it stood out because it's the only crazy thing that occurs in the story. In terms of mystical power and the great beyond, but
otherworldly anything.
But like it felt very like, remember this, it's going to come up in another story. Kind of like, you remember Menace's prayer? Well, it's going to happen again. It's the kind of thing that like Cthulhu games have as a card.
Right.
Menace's prayer, play this to do cool cat stuff or something. It's like, oh, sweet. Or, you have cool ability in a video game about Menace's prayer.
Exactly. So, some kind of
the clouds open up and then
it
just somebody winds up dead the next day. Edited. Picked clean.
Oh, goodness. Cool, man.
No, yeah, this is solid. I thought of it earlier, but we were in conversation, so I'll bring it up now. Give you a little bit more work maybe, but I'll have to find the link for you. But there's a there's a small segment of a bit of Fry and Laurie, which is a comedy sketch group with Hugh Laurie and Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Very famous.
Yep.
Popular at the time. Old now, so there might be a lot of people who just haven't seen it because it's old and Netflix no longer has the license for it, or who knows what licenses Netflix has at any given point. So its accessibility is variable to people in different parts of the world. So if you haven't seen that show, I recommend it. It's very funny. Give you a little glimpse into my brain and what I think is funny. But they have a sketch about they play two people like on a TV program.
Okay.
And the TV program is about, or at least that episode of the program, that fake program that they're making just for the sketch is about how they have an expert on the show who's going to recommend light poetry reading. And it's like, we have our expert here, and and Stephen Fry is the announcer, and he points out to Hugh Laurie, and Hugh Laurie's like, so I've got this poem. It's a lovely poem, and then he like recites it, and it's like 2 sentences or like one word, and then he's like, that's the kind of poem for like your businessman who's on the go, who just has a couple seconds in between meetings just to get a bit of poetry in their life. And it's like, that's what this feels like micro literature.
Sure, yeah.
For just getting a little bit of Eldritch in your life. You could read this. Yeah. Like you could read this 3 times on like the bus ride to work or something, or like the train to work or something like that. It just made me laugh. For the Eldritch user on the go. Yeah. So there's a little bit of micro literature.
Your daily dose.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
But it's a very funny sketch. I recommend it.
Well, they were very funny men, so
they are to this day.
Get well, Joey.
I'm trying. I'm creating an aura between your sickness and my breathing passage by drinking this coffee.
Excellent.
Excellent. The ritual is going as planned.
Yes.
You'll be dead in the morning, Josh. Your hospitality knows no bounds, Josh.
I do what I can.
All right, guys. I think unless you got something else to say.
I don't think so.
Anything else that propped up? You want to talk about magic for another 20 seconds?
Nah, I'm good.
Great. Proceed to our end step here and talk about it won't leave. Magic just won't leave my life.
No. That's okay. That's a good game. We'll save that debate for another podcast.
Yeah. Luckily, that's a different kind of podcast conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. That's been
Very
this episode.
much so.
Yeah. We're gonna. What do we shout out? Well, how do we do this show, Josh?
I don't know.
Can you elucidate us? What do we do at the end of episodes? We say thanks.
Yeah, that's it. We start at the top this time with the date it was recorded and all the other linkage and all that. So, but
yeah, once again,
yeah, we have a Twitter, we have a website, voidstaresback.com. Check us out there. If you're interested in any video content that we might be producing, we're doing a Let's Play currently. I'm running through Darkest Dungeon blind.
Yeah, we do more Eldritch video game and board game Let's Play stuff in the future. Right now, like you said, Darkest Dungeon's what's on the docket.
Yep, still slogging through that.
Which he's blind. He's playing through that blind.
Yes, I've
which
never
is
played it
unheard
before.
of since he's the Eldritch fan between the two of us.
Yeah.
So
You say that.
it's just kind of weird. It's a huge game.
Yeah.
But
I know. I had no idea it existed. But
yeah. So yeah, that's all aggregated on the website that he said. So everything we do will be there in some capacity.
And you can contact us personally via email through there if you want to.
Yep.
But yeah, please leave a comment somewhere and hit us up. We'd love to discuss this or anything else.
Yeah, if you know more
related.
about Egyptian culture and perhaps whether this has a real setting somewhere and we just missed on some of that stuff. Yeah, I'd love to know more. This is definitely the kind of story I could see myself rereading if you drop some like knowledge in the comment. And I'm like, I missed that because it's a very short story. If it was maybe longer, I might struggle with that and I would just accept your comment as gospel.
Yeah.
Without any question.
Yeah.
Not in agreement. But yeah.
Goodness.
So yeah, we appreciate any of that feedback. Yeah. We have a Patreon.
We do.
Once again.
Yep.
We'll have the reading for this story on there. Available stitched together to this episode as well as standalone. So if you just want to hear us, you just want to download that file and just have it.
Maybe you can't carry the book with you on the bus on the ride to work, but you want to experience the story as your Eldritch injection.
That way
for
you
the
can
day.
stand up on the train and hold the thingy above.
Yep, and just listen about Little Menace performing his ritual.
Or maybe you want to hear us talk about Menace Performance Ritual because it helps you go to sleep.
There you go. Yeah.
Perhaps you are a cat person.
Oh.
Perhaps you are a cat. If you're a cat listening, please comment in chat.
Yeah, I want to know.
leave us use your paw, hit the like button.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. We're on a lot of
either.
different platforms. There's probably a heart somewhere. I don't know. Find something.
Yeah. Send us a little cat emoji.
Send us a pic on Instagram of you knocking over the mouse
Yes.
from the table because that's cat behavior. All right, guys.
Don't stare too long.
Yeah, or I don't know. Live your life. You're a cat.